Vincent, half-year results from BAE today gave you an excuse to talk about the defence sector. Now, for someone who doesn't know much about it, I would have thought an environment where governments are cutting back around the world is perhaps not a good run for the industry.
No, it isn't. And there's a lot of uncertainty actually out there. And it's primarily due to the US defence budget, because that's been cut over a sort of 10-year period by roughly $500 billion, which is about maybe 10% of annual spending. But there is pressure on for another 10% cut, so another $500 billion, all to do with Congress and budget, the failure to get agreement on other things, etc., etc. And it's called sequestration. So it's a big cloud hanging over the defence sector at the moment. And I think you can see that in the bottom line of some of the big defence contractors, like BAE, for example, had lower sales in the first half. Northrop Grumman and General Dynamics,
so those cuts
reported last week.
You can see those in the stocks already.
You're beginning to not maybe on the bottom lines of the companies so much, but you're beginning to see them in the stock prices certainly, and in sort of investor attitudes towards these very big companies.
And what are they doing about it?
Well, what they're trying to do, first of all, I think there's a tremendous focus on getting margins up, and the other focus is on getting costs down. For 10 years and more, the defence companies have been sort of, feeding at this Pentagon trough, and that's kind of over right now, because these cuts that are coming in, or that, if they materialise in full, they'll be quite severe, but they probably won't. So, but even so, they are going to affect the industry considerably. So they have to keep costs down, get margins up.
And how good are companies like BAE at getting costs down? Can they do it fast enough?
No, I mean, defence is an incredibly wasteful industry. There is a lot of focus on cost management actually, and BAE has taken out a lot of costs. So have Northrop Grumman and the other big players in the industry. But there's, it's the kind of industry where, because your customer, which is primarily governments and primarily the US government, is incredibly profligate, I think that feeds into the bottom line of companies.
How big is the US government for BAE, for example?
It's about 40% of BAE's global sales, and BAE's global sales are about sort of 19-20 billion pounds a year.
And are they making up any of that with clients in the Middle East, for example?
They can, and this is the thing about BAE, is that it's a very global company, probably slightly more so than the US companies. It's very global. It has a big business in the Middle East. It has big business in the UK, which is actually doing quite well at the moment, even though the UK is also cutting back on defence spending in a huge way. But BAE has legacy businesses there that continue to do rather well. And of course, all these big companies have massive order backlogs.
Sure. And let me ask you a final question. I mean, of course, we've known about cash-strapped governments for quite a while, I guess. Is the cutting back of defence spending in the share prices of companies like BAE now?
I think it is actually. A good deal of it is anyway. There may be more to come depending on how this sequestration argument goes in the US. But I think a good deal of it has been priced in. But I think that, the defence sector has some defensive, if one can use that word, strengths. One of them, which, of course, being yield, and investors seem to like that about these very large companies.
So, big investment yield, valuation finally in the balance. Thank you very much, Vincent.